Hey traders, so in this video, I'm going to be breaking down whether Shiba Inu is still a good buy right now. I'm going to be looking at the technicals and I'm going to be looking at the valuation so we can see whether it's expensive, whether it's cheap, and whether it's still worth getting into. This is one of the most common questions I get asked. Is it too late to jump into this coin? Well, I'm going to break it down for you in this video. Now, before I jump in, just to let you know, I do also have some free training for complete beginners. So if you want to kind of learn how I trade, how I invest in cryptocurrencies, there's a training. There should be a link below this video in the description. Depending on where you're getting this video from, we'll post a link that will give you access to that training. Okay, let's jump in, guys. I'm going to do a quick screen share, and we're going to firstly look at Shiba Inu as a potential from a price point of view. Is it expensive? Is it cheap? And then we're going to look at the charts and work out where might be a good area to jump in. Okay, let's do it, guys. So let's bring in our screen very quickly. So I will bring in my screen. Now, you should be able to see my screen here of TradingView. Now, I'm going to come back to this, but the first thing I want you to do is go to coinmarketcap.com. And one of the misconceptions that people have is they look at a cryptocurrency based on the price. And so like if we go back over here, you will see that this price is less than 1 cent, a lot less, fractions of a cent. And you might think, wow, it's really, really cheap if you compare it to Bitcoin. But it is cheaper than Bitcoin. However, you might be surprised to know that if you kind of look down this list, which actually prices it correctly under the market cap, which is what you need to look at if you want to know whether something is expensive, you can see Bitcoin is the most expensive. But if you kind of go down, keep going down, you can see here, for example, we've got XRP that's $1.12, which is more expensive than Solana, which is $158. Why? Because its market cap is higher. So let's keep going. So there's Dogecoin number 10. Where is Shiba Inu? Well, look at that. Shiba Inu is number 21, which is really, really high. That's about a market cap of nearly 10 billion. Now, guys, that is not cheap. Okay, this is now gone as to one of the top cryptocurrencies. Okay, and it doesn't matter what my personal belief is about these meme-themed coins. The most important thing is there demand? Well, there surely is, because that market cap is telling us that this is one of the serious cryptos. Have a look at some of the projects it's above. XLM, Stellar, which has been around for years. You know, that's a really, really great project, and yet it's got a bigger market cap. VeChain, higher than VeChain, higher than Atom. That astounds me, to be quite honest. That absolutely astounds me. I mean, there's just no comparison, but it is higher than Atom, higher than Tron, that's been around for years. And again, very, very popular. And look at some of these projects: Tezos, HBAR, Monero, right? These are EOS, Aave. You know, these are amazing projects, right? Neo, that have been around for a lot longer and are way, way lower. So guys, I want to tell you from a price point of view, it's not cheap. So as we mentioned the other day, there are some other alternatives if you want to kind of try and get in at the early days. Now, if we go back over here, now, if you really love this project and you want to get involved, sometimes we look at the charts and we think, well, okay, I mean, what have I got to play with here? I mean, this is not really a lot to go with. And it's very, very tricky to know how you might get into this. I want to just show you something really basic that we can do with a limited amount of data that we have. The first thing that I want you to see is that we've actually been higher in the past, right? So this is not the all-time high. It's been much, much higher, okay? In fact, about double the price of where we are. So we know it's got the ability to at least come back up there, which is, you know, a 2x from here, which is not bad, you might think. Well, the other thing that we can see is that we had this kind of breakout. So we had, basically we were stuck, not really doing much, pretty much stuck between this boundary. And then all of a sudden, look how the volume picked up here. So you can see there, look how the first time we break out and we have a big increase in volume, and then it follows through all the way up. And you can see now the volume is starting to dip. So there's two things that might happen here. Typically, when this happens, you'll either get, so the markets will go like up, and then you'll get a proper retracement, and then the market will go up, and like that. If indeed it is now going to go much higher, okay? Now, the other thing that might happen is sometimes things just get pumped, and then they die, and they just go back to zero. Now, so you've got to believe in this project if you're going to invest. You've got to believe this is not a pump and dump. Now, ideally, you want to have a retracement like this, because the other alternative is where the market goes up and then it just flags, okay? Flags and then breaks up. You can play a breakout of a flag, and you can see here, for example, you could draw your flag like that, wait for this market to break up, okay, past this high, look for an increase in volume, but you're not going to be buying at a low price, okay? And in this case, I'd be more looking at this more of a trade, so maybe to target that flag pole, okay? So you could just take that, and you can, this is typically how a flag works. You could measure it up, and then you could say, okay, well, that could be a target, right? So you could just put a horizontal line there. Let's make it green. So we've got a target in there, and then that could be your target, okay? But let me remove all of that. What level is that? 55.91. That would just take us just above this previous all-time high. Now, the other alternative, if we just remove all these drawings, is the retracement, and that's our preference, right? So what you can do when you're in this sort of situation, my preference is to use Fibonacci. So we will take our Fibonacci tool, we will draw from high all the way to the low point like that. We will mark down our favorite buy zones. Ideally, I'd love for this to go back to the 618. The 618 is this third red line. That's the golden ratio and the most popular area for buyers to come in, and that comes in around 1763, okay, satoshis. Now, if you kind of look at that as an area to buy, well, then we would be looking to target at least here, or if it goes parabolic, to here, right? So that, let's just say, if we're going for this one, that's not far from what we said before. Right, in fact, it's almost the same price. So that kind of makes me more confident about this entry here. Okay, so this market, if it came back down here, would represent a decent buying opportunity. And that would approximately, at that buy zone, that would be about a 3x from there. Okay, so if you just bought this at the spot, you'd be roughly making 3 times your money. However, if you were to go with a stop, for example, there, or even tighter, and then use leverage, you could make that an even bigger return. So the safe way is to wait for the RDO entry, look for a 3x kind of trade. The second option is you could play the flag, okay, with a tighter stop, and again, you could probably get a 3-to-1 out of that. The third option is wait for it to get here, use leverage with a tighter stop, and you could probably make that more like a 6 to 10x, okay, depending on how tight your stop is, okay? And the tighter your stop, the more likely you are to be stopped out, so do bear that in mind. All right, guys, so overall, look, I do think that it is a high price coin. Personally, I think you're going to have to get a pullback if you want to buy it. Okay, it's now already made its move. It doesn't make sense to be getting into it now. Like I said, it's more expensive than a lot of amazing crypto projects, which for me, I personally would say you're better to be investing in those over this. But if you can get those entries and you can use that leverage, however you like to trade, then it might be worth investing. Of course, that is down to you. Okay. I am not a financial advisor, and it's completely down to you if you feel it's a good trade or investment. Listen, guys, hope you have a great weekend, and I'll catch you again soon with another video. Take care.